Okay, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jeremy Walsh. I'm the Director of Support for BNI Connect for North America, South America, and I help out with the support people that are in Europe as well as Asia. As you know, BNI is in about 50 countries around the world in all 24 time zones, speaking about 45 different languages. So we are a global system. I'd like to welcome you guys all to the call. What we're going to be covering today is the BNI Connect CMS Editor for chapter websites. So what CMS is content management system. And one thing that you hopefully know is that every chapter in BNI has a chapter website in BNI Connect. This is provided free. It is part of the system. And with the proper permissions from your region, you guys have access to edit that stuff. So we're going to be going through a lot of the system to show you guys what all the little buttons and tools do within that CMS editor. If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to submit the question via the chat/questions control panel. I'd be happy to answer it, whether it's in line with what we're talking about, or if you have questions, we should have a little bit of time at the end as well. If you would like to, if you prefer rather than type, you'd rather speak your question, I'm happy to unmute your microphone. Just raise your hand and we can unmute you as long as you have a microphone or you're connected via the telephone system. We can get your question answered that way as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So before we get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you right out to one of the chapter websites. So I'm going to take you to my regional website here, which is bnirhodeisland.com. So this is our regional website where we have all the different parts of the system. One thing to keep in mind is that a lot of the stuff on the outside of the system, the stuff that's accessible to the rest of the world, so not just BNI members, but everybody in the world, a lot of the stuff is pulling from the inside of the system. So for example, we have all of our chapters. So if I do a search for chapters out here, all of this, these are all the chapters in our region, and this is updated instantaneously based on what we have for things that are active on the inside of the system. So what I'm going to do is go to my chapter website, and this is going to pull. It's pulling, letting us know where we meet and who our president and vice president are. It shows us our current member count, and again, that is accurate as to what is entered into the system. We can go and we can show our members. We could also visit our chapter website or the chapter gallery. I'm going to go and visit our chapter website because this is what we're going to be working on today. So what this is going to show you is what kind of an out-of-the-box chapter website looks like. We have done some editing to this page. You can see we have a chapter recap that we put up there, as well as our speaker rotation. I'm going to show you guys how to do all that stuff. But one of the important things to know is that besides your chapter website, every member has their own page as well. So if I click on my chapter members here, we can see all the members of our chapter. And I'm going to tell you guys a little story. About a month ago, 6 weeks ago, I had a client of mine walk into my office. He stopped in to say hi, and while we were talking, he asked for a referral. He said, listen, you know, my bookkeeper, she needs a little help. She needs some help classifying stuff in QuickBooks, and I need somebody that can show me some advanced things in QuickBooks and help me out. I said, great. Well, I have somebody in my chapter that is a QuickBooks consultant that can sit with you guys and help you out. Here, let me log into BNI Connect real quick and I'll get all this information for you. So I did. I went right to our chapter website, and the person's name is Glenn Zabolis. And what I did was I clicked on his page. What I wanted to do was print this page out for him. I wanted to print out his member page and have his phone number, his email address, his, well, not his email address, but his website address, his Facebook address, a picture of him, some information about his business. So it was, you know, really warmed up the referral. Unfortunately, as you're seeing on the screen, Glenn hasn't updated his profile yet. So as a separate example, let's take a look at my website page, my personal page in here, and you can see that all of the possible information that's pulling from BNI Connect is out here on my member page. Now, if I had printed out this page and handed it over, you know, this person would have immediately had all of the contact information, business address, social media links, description of the business, a picture, company name, all that kind of stuff to really, you know, boost you up that credibility curve a little bit. All of this information here is pulled directly from inside the system. So there's, under the My Account settings, the things that you see up there are pulled from everybody's profile. So it would be a great idea as you're updating your chapter website and hopefully driving traffic to your chapter website that you have the other members in your chapter, make sure that they go in and they update their profiles. And this is where you put all that stuff in. So you have all your My Business, that's what's showing up here, the My Business. As soon as you change something in here and save it, it is changed immediately up here. So it's pulling directly from it. And this is the Tops profile, which is also on the Bio tab that's here. So if we scroll down, we have our Tops profile down here. So whatever they put in here is going to show up here. Phone number, all of this information, that's all pulling from the contact details. So we do have a whole webinar that's dedicated just to filling out your member profile, so I don't want to go too far into that today. But if you have questions on that a little later in the webinar, I'd be happy to go over that stuff with you. Now, one concern that a lot of people have, and Ray King just mentioned this, thank you very much, Ray, is that some people may not want their address to show up. They are working out of a home-based business, or they may only have a P.O. box and what they have in there is their home address, and they don't want that showing up there. There is a security setting for that. So if we go to our Account Settings tab here, it says, Show my contact details on the BNI public website. If I uncheck this box and update it, let me go back and refresh this page real quick. What you'll see is my address disappears. Now, unfortunately, all of my contact information disappears when we do that. Now, hopefully it's going to be something that's changed in a future release of the software, but for now, I have a different recommendation that I'd love if you could pass this along to your chapters. If they do have a home address, what I would recommend doing is leaving this checked to show contact details, but then under the address here, just type in something like private or by appointment only. And then if you have a P.O. box or something like that, if I go ahead and update that and refresh my page, you'll notice that it brings all my other information back, my phone number, my mobile number, my website, all my social media links, all that stuff is back in there, but it's hiding my physical address. Now make sure that you leave your business address, your billing address in there so that your regional office needs to send you anything, that address is still in there. But if you just put private under the first address line, that can still allow you to be found and be seen up there online without letting that out there. So Ray says, aren't privacy settings set to default to not show much info? Ray, that depends on when you were a member. If you were a member before BNI Connect was migrated, then you're actually set to this setting here. Let me show you. You're actually set to not even be seen on the public website at all. So this is an unchecked box. You're not even showing up there. If you're after the migration, you're a member that's come on in the last 18 months or so, then this will be checked that you are seen up on the website. So hope that helps, Ray. All right, so let's get into CMS stuff. The place to get into CMS, now the way that permissions work in the system is that if you have the permission to do it, you'll see it. If you don't have permission to do it, then you won't see it. So you're going to see some things that are on my screen that may look a little bit different, and that's just because I'm a system administrator, so I have elevated permissions in the system. So for example, you may not see this admin menu. You may not see the tools menu. And that just means that you don't have any permissions within that part of the system. And also when you click on operations, you only see chapter. And if you're a regional person, if you're a director consultant like Ray is, then you'll probably see operations region and chapter. And if you need permissions, like you want to become the chapter webmaster, the way to do that is to just get in touch with your regional office. So if you're not sure who that is, ask your director consultant for your chapter, and your regional office can assign you those permissions to get into to various parts of the system. So hope that helps, Christina. Hope that answers your question. If you'd like me to unmute your mic, just let me know, and I'm happy to do that. All right, so now to get into the CMS editor, what we're going to do is click on the Tools menu. And that's under CMS and Chapter Websites. And again, the Chapter Websites are this site, and the region websites are your full regional site. Again, you have to be a director, consultant, or a part of the regional team to have access to this one. Most of you, if you're a chapter webmaster, will have access to your own chapter website. So again, we went to Tools, CMS, Chapter Websites. Now, what you'll see, and I'm going to switch to the Antarctica region, just so we don't mess up anybody's live website. And I'm going to go to the Shiver region here. What we'll see is all of the different chapters that you have permission to edit. By default, if you are a chapter webmaster for just one chapter, you're only going to see your one chapter here. However, maybe you're working with the regional office to manage 2 or 3 or 4 or all of the websites within a particular region. Then you would see all of the chapters that you are a chapter webmaster for. You know, in my case, I'm seeing all 5 chapters that we have live in Antarctica. And we can go in and start editing those sites. Now, if you click on the link, it'll bring you to the chapter website. So if I have the Burr chapter here, this will bring me to the Burr chapter website. You can see this is actually left over from the last webinar that I did, some editing that I did on that site. You can see who created it, which doesn't give you too much information. You can see the last time it was modified, and we can click on this button here to edit the chapter website. And that one hasn't been published yet. So let's go ahead and click on Edit. And what we'll see here is the stuff that we have access to go in and change. And you'll see that it's the page hierarchy. So we have the home page. And if we go back to this chapter website here, this is the home page. We have our chapter members page, which is our chapter members page. And we have a gallery page. And I've renamed that in our chapter to the chapter photos page. So those are the 3 pages that you have access to as a chapter website. Unfortunately, we do not have the ability to add any pages at the chapter level. So you can edit within the pages that you have, but we can't add any pages to it. Along the top, we have some tabs. So we have the Pages tab, we have the Library tab, and the Site Information tab. So the Pages tab is what we just went over here. We have the Library tab, and what this will be is these are images that you've uploaded for using as content within your website. So in order to use a photograph or to use any other type of object on your website, you do need to upload it into your personal library, into your chapter library for use on the site. You can upload images, you can upload documents, and you can upload Flash. To upload something, just click on the Upload button, and it will bring you to Attach Files. Just click on the little magnifying glass there. What it'll do is it'll bring us into a browser for your computer. So you have to find that photo on your local hard drive. Click on the file, and it will upload it into your library of images that you can use. Most images should just take a couple of seconds to get up there. It's just refreshing the library for us. Once it's up there, if you choose that you don't want it anymore, you can go ahead and check it off, or check off multiple if you had multiple images up there, and choose the Delete button. The Site Information tab. Now this is the various header information on the page. Most of this stuff you're just going to want to leave the way it is. Gail asks, what is meant by the word Flash? Flash are those kind of fancy moving graphics that you see on the screen. So if you happen to have any customized Flash objects, that would be what you'd upload into the Flash library. So things like videos and other types of content like that. The stuff on the Site Information tab, you probably don't want to touch this. Some of it's editable, some of it's not. We do have our domain name, which can't be changed right now. In the upcoming version, you will have the ability to change your folder name for your site, meaning it's not, by default, the sites are created by taking the country and the region and then your chapter name and kind of creating a big long string out of it. The new version we're expecting on Monday, August 6th, and after that version you will be able to customize this to your own name. So as long as it's not taken by somebody else, you'll be able to generate a new folder name for your website. Unfortunately, you can't change the tagline. That is the tagline for BNI. If you'd like to change the button for member-only access, this is this button right here, Members Only. You have the ability to change that. You have your BNI International button, and that brings you to the BNI corporate site, www.bni.com. And then you have your regional site, which in my case will take us to the BNI RI website. So you do have the ability to rename those buttons if you'd like to. And then if you have any analytics code, so if you're using something like Google Analytics where you're tracking the traffic to your page, this is where you would put that JavaScript code, that analytics code in there, and then you would click Update. If I had made any changes, what I would want to do is then publish the website. So anytime you make any changes in the system, it's a two-step process. The first thing you do is you make your edits. So we're going to go through and we're going to go show you how to make edits on an actual page. But even if we were to make some site information changes, such as renaming a button, let's just rename our members only button to, go to BNIC, go to login. And I'm going to click Update here. Now, what we'll see is if I go to this preview site, we'll see that the button's changed. But if I go out to the live website, which is this one right here, which I haven't published yet, it's a brand new chapter we created yesterday, we'll find that the button's not there. So we have the ability to see it how it's going to look, but after we've made the changes, we have to make them go live, and that's by clicking the Publish button. So depending on how many graphics you have and things on there, that could take anywhere from a couple of seconds, like it just did, to a couple of minutes. So now that we've published our website, we can now see the information that's up there. And we can see that that change is made, go to login. Now if I go back and I change that again to members only and click Update, if I go to our live site, it doesn't automatically happen. I have to publish that change so that it goes from the temporary site that we're working on to the live site. So Matt had a quick question. He says, we've been having an issue where we update our homepage via the CMS. It does not update the actual homepage. The CMS editor shows the change, but it never becomes live. Matt, it sounds like it might be a particular issue with your chapter website. After this webinar, if you want to submit a support ticket, I'd be happy to take a look at that with you or for you, and we can get that figured out. Just send an email to support@bniconnect.com, or I'll show you how to submit a ticket towards the end of the webinar here. And Matt also asks, you need to contact a regional manager to become an admin to make changes to CMS. Yes, that is done by the regional office. The president of your chapter does not have the ability to assign those permissions. So it has to be done by if you have a regional administrator, a regional admin, or if you have, you can contact your executive director and they'll be able to help you out with that as well. Okay, hope that helps, Matt. All right, so now let's take a look at some of these pages themselves. On the pages, for example, the home page, we do have a couple of other options available to us. So we have edit name, we have edit meta tags, and we have edit content. So if we click the edit name button here, we can change the name of the home page to something else. So you can change it from home to something like our chapter, submit it, and that will then change the home page's name from home to our chapter. Again, if we're going to take a look at our preview site here, we'll see that the tab is also renamed to our chapter. We have edit meta tags. Now this is kind of more of a search engine optimization type of thing. So if you'd like to optimize your site, you can add some descriptions, you can add some keywords, you can add some meta tags to it so that it shows up better in the search engines. Again, these being live sites, they are crawled by the various Google spiders and all the other search engines out there. So contact your local web guy if you'd like some more information on really optimizing this for the best use. And then finally we have the edit content. So if we click on the edit content, what this is going to do is now bring up our content editor where we're actually editing the site itself. So what you'll see here is this is the standard out-of-the-box brand new chapter homepage. If you've ever edited a Word document before, you can probably get your way through editing most of your chapter website. What we're going to do is kind of go through a lot of these buttons here and show you what each of them does. But all of the stuff that's on the text of this page, you can change that. There are some things on all of the pages that you can't change that are locked down as part of just the BNI site. Notice that the left-hand column, that's blanked out. That is something that you don't have the ability to change. That if you remember back on the site there, what it's showing you is the chapter leadership team. So as the leadership team changes, that gets automatically updated by the system, but we can't edit any of that stuff. This is automatically pulled from the system as well, from what we had on our name for our page before. One thing that may not be obvious, though, is that you can change the text that's up in this blue line here. So I could say, just put some different text into that page. Other things that you'll see on here is within the text itself, we do have at least one variable in here. Now this variable, it's this pounds TYFCB pound. And what that is, it's a system tag. So that's the only one that's currently available on the chapter websites. But what this does is it goes into the system and it pulls your chapter's thank you for closed business for the last closed 12 months. So whatever's reported in your POMS reports over the last 12 months gets accumulated, it gets added up and plugged in to this number. You'll notice this number will not change on a daily basis. It'll change on the first of the month unless somebody goes back and edits POMS reports throughout the year. So this will pull automatically from the system. If you are from outside of the country, if you're on this call from England or Germany or wherever else, you can change this dollar symbol to whatever the currency symbol is in your particular country. Up along the top, we'll see this yellow bar as well, and this yellow bar tells you what you're doing. We're editing the page. We're editing the Our Chapter page. Couple of buttons over here on the right-hand side, we can see right now that it says that we're using the library images. If we click that button, we'll see that it's a toggle. So if we click the button, we're using library images, and I just canceled that, and now we're saying using common library. If we click it again, it'll bring us back to the library images. Now what that is if you're using the library images, you're using any photos that you've uploaded into the system. BNI also has a common library of stock images, which are like this image that with the chapter and the hard hats and the orange shirt there. That is all of one of the many stock images that are available for use. Real quick, Gail asks, is this webinar available for later viewing? Yes, we already have copies of this particular webinar uploaded and shared within the support site, and I can show you how to get to that part later. And this one will be recorded as well and will be made available at a later time. All right, so let's just go through some of the other buttons that are on this page. So again, it's very much like Microsoft Word in editing something like this, and most of the buttons we've seen in other programs before. This source button, what this is if you are an actual HTML coder, you're somebody that is very familiar with websites and you need to do some advanced things. What we're viewing right now is called the Wysiwyg Editor. What you see is what you get. If you'd like to go by code, just click on this source button and you'll see that this changes to the actual HTML code. Some people find it easier to work in here, especially when modifying text, but unfortunately I'm only human, so I'm going to switch back to the regular Wysiwyg editor. The second button here is the templates button. If you wanted to scrap your whole page and start over again, you can do that, and you can choose different types of layouts for your page. So you have your image and title. Right now we're kind of in a text and table page. We have an image over on one side, so feel free to play around with those if you'd like to get a different type of layout for your page. Now the next couple of buttons, let me make some changes on here first. This one is the undo button, so I just did a bunch of typing. If I said, oops, I don't want to do that, let me click the undo and it puts it back the way it was before, and they said, oh wait, hold on, I really did want to do that after all, I can redo it. The next button is the cut, copy, and paste, and again those are really the same type as you'd find in just about any other editing program. So you can cut, copy, and paste stuff. Mine are actually disabled here, and that's because Google Chrome is disabling access to the clipboard. So just a browser thing, a browser security thing. So you have two different pastes here, or actually three different pastes. You have paste, paste as plain text, and paste from Word. Now the reason there's three different pastes are when you're copying from another program, let's say that you have a whole bunch of text that you'd like to grab from another source, whether that's another website or whether that's from a Word document, you may not want to pull all of the formatting along with it. So let's say that you have, it has bolds and italics and it's a different color. If you want to paste it as it is, then you use the paste button. If you just want the text to come in, but you want to be able to put your own formatting on it, you probably want to use this paste as plain text button. Now this third one is paste from Word, and Word has the tendency to put a lot of kind of stuff in it, a lot of back-end code that a lot of these CMS editors don't really play well with, so that allows you to do some pasting from Word. The next thing is a find. So as your page expands and you have a bunch of stuff on it, you can use this find feature in order to find and or replace text on the page. So if you wanted to replace every place that said BNI, that maybe you misspelled it, you want to replace it with BIN, you can go through and replace them all on the page. And now we can see that BIN has been replaced, or BNI has been replaced with BIN. So let's put that back and replace that with BNI. And close that. The next tab here is just to select all, typical select all, everything on the page. And you can do something like delete everything or move everything down or move stuff that way. The next one is removing the formatting. So if you have something that you did format, or maybe you copied and pasted it from another source and didn't paste it as plain text, you can choose that, remove formatting, and it'll take all the stuff away, the bold, the italics, the underline, and set it back to just a normal default font. The next portion on here, these are some different tools of stuff that you may want to put onto the page. Make space down here a little bit. If you wanted to put some type of a form on the page, you can do that. Most of the time you can use this for collecting data. And that would be basically a data entry type of system. You can add things like checkboxes. We can add some radio buttons, and these are usually helpful when they're put inside of a form, unless you're just doing them for aesthetic purposes. That allows people to click on the radio button, usually when there's multiple options. You can add some text fields. If you have a text area for people to type in. And that actually managed to embed it within there. Next one is our selection field. And basically it's a drop-down box. Oh, I didn't add anything to there. And stay for the 12 referrals, or the 2 referrals. We can add buttons. And this adds image button. And I don't have a URL that I can use for this right now, or an image that I'd like to place on a button, but this would be basically a clickable button with your own image on it. Now the next button most people aren't going to use, but it's a hidden field. So if you're fond of putting Easter eggs on your home pages, you can use that. If you wanted to maximize the screen just to be able to work on it easier, you can choose that as well. And this will bring it right back down. The show blocks, this is kind of like paragraph formatting in Microsoft Word. So if you find it easier to see all the different paragraphs and work on them that way, that's a way that you can turn that on to see it a little bit better for organization purposes. Superscript and Subscript, that will just allow us to do things like something like first, and then we could take the ST and do a superscript, so it's the first. Subscript as well, and that would allow you to take that and make it fall down a notch. The next line, this stuff is pretty common, again, with Word stuff. It's bold, italic, and underline. There's also the strike through option, if you choose to use that. You can do bulleted and numbered lists. And we can add some bullets in there too. You can increase and decrease the paragraph font by using the next couple of buttons. Increase it and decrease it. Block it in or block it out. And you can add a block quote in there as well. So now the div containers, I'm not sure how many people are going to use that, but that is an option in the system, as well as all the paragraph things. Again, these are fairly common. We can right, left, center justify it. So we can left justify it, we can center justify it, we can right justify it, and we can full justify it. Now the link button is probably something that you'll use fairly often, and this is just to be able to link things to words. So if you needed to link a website to the word BNI, so that if somebody clicked on BNI when they were reading it, it would bring them to www.bni.com. We would now see that this gets underlined, and if somebody clicks on BNI, it'll bring them right to that BNI website. On really long pages, you may want to have anchors so that as people go through the page, it forms a place that it kind of stops going along the way. Image, here's where your images start to come in handy, the ones that we uploaded into our library. So if we wanted to put an image into this website somewhere, so let's say right down here, what we do is click on this image button, and then we could browse servers. So we're going to go find it. Now, I'm using the library images, so what that means is it's going to use the stuff that I have put into the system. And let me see if I can get that over to the other screen, because right now it is on the other screen that I have here. Let me get the screen moved over for you guys. And this is what pops up, a thing that says CK Finder. And what this does is it's browsing our image library for things that have been uploaded. So here's what I had uploaded before. You can pick another picture that you've uploaded in the past or things that are in the library. So if we wanted to put that pretty picture of a flower, we can do that. Let me get you guys back over to the other screen here. And what we can do is we see our little preview there. We can add some alternate text in, and we can also change how big it's going to be. So if I wanted this to be a smaller picture, let's say about half that size, I can just type a new width in. It will automatically lock the aspect ratio for you. If you'd like to skew the picture in some way, you can do that by locking the ratio. And if you want to reset it back to the original, you can set a border around it if you'd like to, as well as leave padding for space horizontally or vertically. And if it's as part of a paragraph or something else, if you need to align it, you can do that as well. So now that I've done that, we should see our photo show up down here with the border around it and in our chapter web page. The next thing is the Flash objects. So similar to the images, if you've uploaded Flash objects, you can insert those into the page as well. I don't believe I have any Flash objects loaded right now. So let me just check the library. And yeah, unfortunately, there's no Flash images up there in the library to show you this, but it is the same process as the putting a picture up there. Christina asks, what was all the lorem text in there for? That was just basically sample text. So if you needed to, if you wanted to put text in with the image, describing the image, so on and so forth, it was just placeholder text. You can put in tables. For example, some people have put in tables in order to list things such as, oh, our chapter members asked for this week, and they can list their members out and their specific referrals. So if you'd like to insert a table, you can insert a table into the system. So here's our table down here, and it does allow for typing right into it. If you wanted to put some line spacers in here, breaking off different sections, you can insert lines wherever you'd like to by using the Insert Line tool, and it's going to insert it between those two paragraphs there. I kind of steer away from this next one, which is adding smiley faces. Probably not something you're going to use very often in a professional website, but that is there as an option. The next one is extremely helpful for things like, as I said before, other currencies or things like the copyright symbol that you may not be able to find on a keyboard anywhere. And Christina, did you have a question? Let me, Christine, I did unmute your microphone. Did you have a question? Nope. Okay. All right, so the next couple of them are just the styles, so you can change the formatting as well as the font and the size. Now, I would recommend not messing with the font and the size too much, and the reason for that is just from a branding perspective, the official font for all of the branded materials within BNI is the Arial font, so I would highly recommend sticking to that as much as possible when you are putting text and other things into your site. Matt has a question. He says, I have an issue with a report where we would like to add a referred from field in our POMS report. Matt, let's take that one offline. That one, I'd be happy to have a discussion with you about that. So. All right, next one are just text colors, so you can change the color of the text to something else, as well as you can highlight text. So that covers the various buttons within the chapter website and all the different things that you can do from an editor standpoint. Once you have made all of your changes, you do want to make sure that you then save them. So you have the Save button up here in the upper right-hand corner. We're just going to click that now. And that will save it. It kind of gives you a preview without all the blocking in there. And once we're satisfied with that, we can close it. Now, if we want to take a preview on the site itself, we can, again, look at the preview URL, and we'll see what we put up there. But until we go back and we hit this Publish page, now, when we go to the live site, now all of our changes have gone live. So that is the basics of how to update a chapter website. Now, there's some other pages where you have slightly more limited range of what you can edit on there. For example, on the chapter members page, you have the ability to really edit the header and the footer. But since that middle space is filled by the member names of what it's pulling from the system, you don't have any access to edit that middle section within there. The only one where it's slightly different is this chapter gallery. Now, this chapter gallery is something that you see that you have one more option here. And what you can do is if you're using it, you can show this. If you're not using it, you can hide it. Going back to this page right now, you'll notice there's only two tabs here. We have our chapter tab that we had renamed earlier, and we have our chapter members tab, which lists all of our chapter members. I only have 2 members in this chapter right now. But there's a third page that is available, and that's the chapter gallery. So if I click on Show, it asks us if we want to show this page, and I'm going to say yes, Show. Let's publish that. And now let me refresh this page up there online. And we'll see that we now have a chapter gallery. And what you can use this for is for uploading images, and some people use it for news stories and things like that. Let me see if I can get you to a page that's using that. Like, I know our page right here, we're using it as a chapter photos page. So if I go to chapter photos, we have a couple of photos that are uploaded there. This was of, for example, a recent Visitors Day that we had. There is another chapter out there called the Mill River BNI, and they're in western Massachusetts. And you'll see, I just did a Google search for Mill River BNI. This is their chapter page, so we can see that it is showing up in Google searches. And you can see what they've done on their page. They've edited it a little bit so that they have their chapter map, how to get there via Google. So they replaced the stock image, this stock image, with an interactive Google map. They also added their Facebook links on here, their Twitter account. And if we look, they turned their chapter gallery into a chapter news page. So what they were able to do is to use this gallery in a way that allowed them to basically put a really long description in for the photo and use it as a news feed. So just something creative that you can do with your website. So if we go back to my page, our chapter website, that's under bniri.com. And let me get to the Wakefield page. One thing that we do is that we have, again, we put our Facebook links in here as well for our chapter page. And we also, this is really just an image. So what our president every week sends out a meeting recap email. That what we then do is just save it as a JPEG image, and we're able to upload it for all of the chapter news. All the visitors, all our specific referrals, and then again at the bottom is the chapter speakers. So again, just one more image, and if you'd like, I can show you how to do this Facebook posting as well. If your chapter has a Facebook page, let me show you how to put that in there. So to do that, let me go back to the CMS Editor. And I'm going to go to my chapter website to show you what that looks like. Ray, it looks like you have your hand up. I'm going to open up your microphone if you have a question. Hey, Ray, you should be open. Do you have a question?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, it really has to do with chapter webmaster access to do this exact thing here in the gallery. I've got a chapter that wants their chapter webmaster to have the ability to upload pictures to their gallery. I've actually gone into the system where it has control role access at the region level, and I've marked off where the webmaster or what functions the webmaster can do. But when I go back and try to actually give the webmaster access to do this, every function in the chapter has I can identify every other role in the chapter to give access to, but not the webmaster. The webmaster doesn't seem to.
Yep, the webmaster is a role. So it's not defined through the roles-based access control permissions. So it's not a permission there. What it is a role. So I can, if you give me 1 second, I can show you how to do that. Or Ray, you're a director consultant.
What I've currently done is I've given the webmaster access through the events coordinator function.
Okay, but that's not going to allow them to actually edit the website.
I don't necessarily want them to edit the website. I just want them to have access to the gallery, so he can upload photos instead of the president or the vice president or something like that.
Okay, if you need the instructions to make him a webmaster, which is probably really the best way to do this, just email me offline. Just send me a ticket in, and I can get you through that. It's basically under admin region manage roles, and then when you drop down the chapter from the filter bar, it'll bring up the option for webmaster, and you just assign that role to the person.
Okay, I thought I did that, but I'll talk to you offline.
Sure.
Thank you.
Excellent. Cool. Thank you, Ray. All right, so going back, if you want that Facebook thing on your page, that's actually, it's called an iframe. And what it is, it's kind of a special function. You see the placeholder here on our edit website. Unfortunately, the only way to do this is through the source code. But don't get too scared off. Even I was able to do it, and I'm just in my basics when it comes to the CMS stuff. So if you click on the source button, though, you'll see all this other stuff, all the text up there that we put in here. And if we scroll down, what we'll see is a little section here called iframe. And we can see that it goes in, we have the image down here, and then we have all this text up above it. All you really have to do is figure out where you want to put it and copy and paste this from the Facebook site. And the place to find that, Facebook is going to generate this all for you. So if you have a Facebook account, I'm going to close out of this and not save any changes. If you have a chapter Facebook page, this is the website here. It's developers.facebook.com. And if you really just do a search for the like button, you'll find it. But it's docs/reference/plugins/like. This is the generation for a like button. And you just have to put in your Facebook page, so facebook.com/BNI Connect Global, let's say, and just define the rest of these features. So what do you want it to say? What do you want it to do? I don't want it to have a send button, so this is giving us a preview of what this is going to look like. How wide do you want it to be? Let's say you only want it to be 300, showing the faces. And then we just click on Get Code. And it'll just put it in here. Now there's different formats. There's the HTML, there's the XBFML. What we want to use is this iframe. So all we would do is then just highlight this, copy it, go back to our CMS page, and paste it right into there. And then we'll have on our home page here, if I go back to that edit content, and I click on the source code, I would just go down and paste it right into this section here. And what you'll see is just a little placeholder here that says iframe. So it's a very common question we get is how do I get that Facebook stuff on there? And that is how to do it. Similar for Twitter and LinkedIn and all the other places have their own tool for that. So cool. So that covers most of the basic stuff on the CMS side. I'd be happy to answer any additional questions that you have. While you're thinking of your questions, there's two things that I would like to ask you guys to do. The first of which is when you're in BNI Connect, click on this little question mark button. What this will do is bring you to our support site. And when you get there, let me log out of it. This is what you guys will see. Here's all our upcoming webinars. If you scroll past the webinars down towards the bottom, you'll see all of our public help and training material. So under the trainings, under our general section, you'll see quite a few walkthroughs on all the various operations and chapters. If we click on more, we'll see a couple of webinars that are saved and uploaded up there. For example, this BNI Connect for Chapter Webmasters recording. There is one up there from a couple of months back, and you're welcome to review it and look at it and watch it again. The second place I'd like you guys to go, and if you have to submit a question, you need some support, you need some help with something, just click on Submit a Request. Just fill out your email address, your name, and your question. You can even record a screenshot if you need to, and we can answer your question for you. The second place I'd like you guys to go, if you have a chance, is to go to facebook.com/BNI Connect Global and give us a like. We also do webinar announcements. So today's webinar was listed up here, and you can click on a link to join it, as well as some tips and tricks and explanations and upgrade notices and things along those lines. So if you could, hop on facebook.com/BNI Connect Global and give us a like. I do have another question. It says, I was watching when you were showing how to insert the buttons and fields and things, but is there a way to make the field submit to an email address or something? Yes, there is. That will take a little bit of coding on the back end. So if you'd like to submit a question, we can walk you through that Or if you have a web designer in your chapter, they can probably get you through that pretty quickly as well. So yes, there is ways to do that, to collect information from the page, tie it to a submit button, email that over to somebody. But again, that will take a little bit of advanced coding to do that. Do we have any other questions? And again, if you just click on the Help button, click on Submit a Request, and we can get started helping you out there. You can also go directly to support.bniconnect.com, or you can send an email to support@bniconnect.com. John says, my BNI Connect page does not show a Tools tab. Once again, if you don't have this Tools tab, what you need to do is the best way to do that is to contact your regional office. So if you don't know who that is, talk with the director consultant for your chapter, and they can work the process to get you access. If you don't know who that is or you don't know who to talk to, submit a ticket through the support system and we will point you to the right place. We're not allowed to assign that access from a support perspective, but we will assist you in getting in touch with the right people to make or to help that happen. So I hope that answers that question, John. Happy to help in any way that we can. Cool. Do we have any other questions? Otherwise, we're just at the, we're about 70 seconds away from the top of the hour. So I would like to thank everybody for their time here today. I'd be happy to, again, continue to support you via the support site. We do this particular webinar every couple of weeks. We also do a bunch of other webinars on a number of different other topics. Just check out the support site here. We're going to be doing next week the member profile webinar, and then we'll be doing another chapter webmaster. I'm updating the schedule now, so it should be up here in a couple of days, but we also do one for leadership teams. We do one on the social media components, on the various reports and chapter functions, as well as some position-specific ones. So get in touch with us, and we look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. Thank you, everybody, for your time today. And Matt, please contact me offline, and I'll help you with your other question. Thank you.